like to call to order the Groveland Township regular board meeting for June the 10th. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Behind you, Bob.
Behind you, Bob.
You're in the wrong spot.
I know.
This is awkward.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. It's okay. It pledge is the same either way, right?
Exactly.
Okay, Angela, could you, give us, oh, I'm sorry, Jesus, I apologize. Or, could you take roll call?
Robert DePalma.
Yes.
Nell Keller.
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Present.
Jim Christopher. Gina Mazzarelli.
Here.
Okay. Okay, has everybody received a copy of the agenda for tonight? And if so, are there any questions or comments on that? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay, and we need to also take a look at the board minutes now for the May 13th
Support.
one. And
Support.
oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Support. I'm just out of it today, okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's approved. Next is the approval of minutes for May the 13th for the township and the fire board, and they looked okay to me when I read them over the other day.
I will make a motion that we approve the Groveland Township regular meeting minutes for May 13th, 2024 as presented.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, motion is in order to approve and seconded by Jim. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, they're approved. And then we have the May 21st meeting as well, special meeting.
Oh, special meeting. I actually needed to bring something up. I needed you to clarify your motion. It's if you have it, it's highlighted in green.
Yes. we
Could
worked
you
on that.
clarify that, please?
Yeah.
So how about De Palma motion to approve Z Productions for this year, 2024, for a 3-year marketing representation as outlined in his proposal
Okay.
of the tech park and to be reviewed in January 2025.
Okay with everybody? Any other changes?
Yeah, SEMA is SEMA.
Yeah, it's an acronym.
Okay, yeah, it is. It's Engineering Society.
In one of those little bullet points.
Yes.
Yep.
And then
Second.
it's Detroit Four Fest, F-O-U-R. It's a little hard to understand
Yeah.
sometimes, but,
Oh, for a long time I thought it was the Ford
Ford.
Fest, and
Right.
it just made sense.
right,
It does.
exactly.
It does.
Ford would probably like that, but it's
Yeah.
not.
For a long time I thought it was Ford Fest.
Okay. Okay, any other changes or comments? If not, a motion would be in order to approve with the amended changes.
I will make a motion to accept the Groveland Township special meeting minutes from May 21st, 2024 with the aforementioned changes.
Is there a second?
Support?
By Janelle. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, and they're approved. And that leaves January, or excuse me, June 3rd. The meeting we had at the fire department for the Vesper presentation.
So my question is, this was not a special meeting,
No?
like,
It was posted as a special
It
meeting.
was posted.
but we didn't open with the pledge and say, you know,
No.
all that and adjourn, and, I mean, this was not, is, a special meeting implies we're paying the
Okay.
trustees, correct? But if this is not a special meeting, we're not paying the trustees, I just needed to clarify.
Well, it might have got posted as a special meeting, but we didn't have any of the normal stuff we do in a board meeting. No decisions were made. It was just informational on the part of the.
That's what I thought.
So I don't, honestly, I don't think we should be paying anybody for the meeting.
Okay.
It was to
That
get
was my
information.
understanding, was that it was just an informational presentation,
Yes.
post it as informational meeting.
Yeah, that's how I thought this was gonna be posted, so I guess I'm just wondering about, do we need to leave the word special meeting there, or just informational meeting? Do we wanna leave it as special meeting, under minutes June 3rd at the top?
It should be, I would say it should be informational,
It should be changed.
cause when I reached out, cause I couldn't make it, that's the email I got back. Don't worry about it, it's an informational meeting.
That's fair.
Okay. So other than changing the header on it to match what it actually was, any questions or comments from the board?
No, I don't think so, I didn't hear her say it, that she's calling the project enrolled in the Woodson Energy Storage.
No, I heard her say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure she did.
Yeah,
I
cause
just
the
didn't
two
hear
that they have already in Michigan for the utility companies farther upstate,
Yeah.
both of them are under the name Woodson, and actually, sometimes when you look, I think, Angela, when she looked it up on her phone, when you look up Vesper in Michigan, it usually says Vesper dash Woodson.
Okay,
So, she did say it, I caught that at the beginning.
well, I was
She
screening
pointed
everybody.
it out on the map.
Yeah.
That's what the map says too.
Yeah.
Okay, I probably missed it because I was greeting everybody when they came handing out papers, so, no big deal. All right,
Okay, so we have a motion and just a correction on the header,
yeah,
okay, and everybody good with that? Okay, no other questions or comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Who
All
motioned?
opposed?
who motioned? I don't know.
I'm sorry,
No.
you did, I apologize, well, I'm jumping on here. Okay, who wants the motion first?
I guess I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the June 3rd informational meeting with the change of the heading from, special meeting to informational meeting.
Who wants to
Support.
say? Support, okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Okay, now we're done with all the minutes. Okay, next moving to the financials, there's the budget amendments.
I don't have any budget amendments that we're gonna do today, but I did want to just point out, it is $1, and no one would probably ever have noticed this.
Ken will.
Okay, but there is a $1 difference from the, budget that we adopted compared to what is going to show up here. And that difference is going to come up in the, payroll taxes. It's gonna be under the 206. Let me find it real quick. See if I can remember where it was out of. But it was essentially what it is it's a rounding difference between what in the proposed budget, the Excel file did, and what BSNA, our actual budgeting program does. So it's a $1 difference, but I
Alright, I
wanted,
give up.
I know, we're done, we're going under.
Janelle and I talked about it at length.
And I'm like,
And I was like,
it's not fitting, my numbers aren't matching. Anyway, it's in the it's in the payroll taxes, wherever that's going to show up in 206, but, so there is a $1 difference, I just wanted to point that out.
Clearly, you don't wanna see how I do my checkbook
Oh,
at
no.
home.
I know, and we talked about how many of you probably would never have picked up on that, but I felt the need that I needed to draw attention to that.
Well, I appreciate having people who do that.
Thank you.
Yes.
To the dollar.
Very
And
much.
yes, we
Very
did
much.
some seriously high-powered math.
Yeah.
He did, we had to dig into some Excel programming and everything to figure that out, but,
But we did.
So
that
we've killed the
being
budget, there's no amendments, right?
no, no amendments, account payables, we can kind of glance those over, there are a few big checks that went out, but nothing that should be too crazy. Al Kagari, you'll see a $4,000 payment there, that's for some of our scanning that we've continued to do to make sure that more files are available digitally. When people contact us, especially for FOIAs, it's much easier for us to get the information, rather than trying to dig through paperwork. So that was a relatively big one, you'll see the $2,000 that we sent for the fireworks, just some general payments there. Well, that 2,500 I think was our, bug spray, so there is some bug spray still available if anybody still needs one, but it's dwindling quickly. Legal fees, I don't think anything else that's really gonna stand out. Oh, actually I lied,
Well, yeah,
a few more.
the check for the
That one's a big one. But before I get there, you're gonna see the 3678, it's for the McInich Monument. Last fall, we had a tree come down on one of these stones. So it was an insurance claim, so we received the monies prior to this budget. However, it will temporarily come out of this budget. Our auditor will come in and he'll fix that up for us, so it's nice and clean. So overall for general was, did I miss one under general? No, 43,382.16. And for building was 254.27. Everything under fire department was pretty status quo. You'll start to see a little bit higher numbers coming out of payroll just because we do have our new full-time firefighter. Overall for fire was $30,506.29. And in 701, we had an escrow account for state electric that's kind of been hanging in there for a couple of years. It's about $3,500. Contacted them and they decided at this time they're not going to follow through with that project, so we did reimburse that account. So there was a $3,500.
Oh, that was the one I was looking at on Big Sky.
Yeah. So for right now, they're not pursuing anything there.
Okay.
So, if you don't have any questions, did I miss any others? All right, I would motion that we accept accounts payables as presented.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, it is for a bunch of money, so please take the roll call.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Robert DePalma.
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes.
Next, so we did the financial reports for fire. Okay. So next is the investment reports, Teresa.
Well, the report in your packet has the rounded numbers because at the time it had to go into the packet, Oakland County Local Government Investment Pool had not given the reports yet for the month, but they did submit them late in the afternoon Thursday. So I went ahead and gave you guys an updated version. It's within, just because everybody else out there, it's within $3,000. So that difference would have been the interest earned from Oakland County from that depository. Everything else is correct, or everything else was already in there, so. Yeah, we did make that payment to Barry Bass for the first, installment of the Fire Station 1, and for that, box thing.
Oh, the
$20,000
evidence line.
evidence box. So, those came out of the ARPA funds, so you can see, you know, that, ARPA, which is the Fund 464, went from having 429,948 last month to 137,000 this month, because we're depleting those funds first in the paying of the station, and then we'll dip into the infrastructure funds. Okay? Anything else?
Thank you.
No?
Alrighty.
Okay, that's a report, we don't approve anything on it, so, thank you for the information. We have nothing tonight for presentations, nothing for public hearings, and moving right into new business, no unfinished business, so new business is next. First one is to discuss the Holly Library, and I know that you put paper together for us on this?
I did, so this isn't just library, this is just a little scratch paper.
Several
piece of
things
paper.
that went up, yeah.
Yeah, several things, just to see the differences. There's a lot of other things that are in this packet. But Teresa had asked me earlier about a couple of them, and I thought I'll just put it all together so you have here. Bob, I know you met with Greg about the library, right?
Yes.
Looks like they were talking about a 76-cent increase per resident. So it is a little bit of a hike. I talked to him today just to get an overall number, that final number for what we would really be looking at. In this email, it was a 76-cent increase, but when I talked to him, he said it would be about $2. It sounds like it's what we are willing to approve. So you'll see two figures there, anywhere between, so last year, just for all of you who don't have this paper in front of you, it was $7,636.66. This year, it would be anywhere between about $11,800 to $12,400.
In fairness to them, for a very long time, it was $6,000 or $6,500 for ages. And this is substantially less than the $190,000 that Brandon wanted.
Yeah, I I mean, I'll kind of bring up just a couple things too later, but the library has some amazing offerings this summer, especially for children. But they have adult programs stuff and stuff too. They do, every summer, they do a lot of different things for the community. So, I was gonna just put a little plug in for them later on, but I mean, my kids are thinking about doing a sushi class. Actually, Laura, you saw it too. What were some of the other things, do you remember?
Salsa.
Yeah,
There's a couple different cooking classes.
yeah, but a couple different cooking classes. I mean, just a lot of really neat programs, so, you know, keep that in mind when you're looking at this, and it's not just, oh yeah, they can get a library card, but it's a great place for
$2
people to
per
be.
resident is money well spent.
I agree
For a
entirely.
library.
They had game night, things like that.
Yeah,
What I like is that you can go to the Holly Library, you can get a library card, and then you can use it over at the Brandon Library.
yes,
And if you want to use, I mean, if you want, they have audiobooks at the Holly Library, but if you wanna use the Brandon Library's audiobooks, you do have to pay for that. But you don't have to use it, cause you can use Holly's.
Or you can use Libby.
yes, the
Well,
free
Yes,
app.
right.
Yeah, so there's options,
There's a
but
lot
we
of
have to belong, we have to be members of the Holly Library in order to be able to have that card that transfers over to there.
So I'm sorry, Matt, is this an opportunity to ask a question?
Okay, go ahead.
Is the funds, does that come out of our tax base to
Yeah.
support the library?
Yeah, there's not a tax for it, it comes out of the general operating fund of the township.
Okay, I just wanted to get clarification on
And
that.
it has all along.
Oh, okay. They had a program a couple, 3 years ago when COVID was high and running, where you could, some of the libraries around here, you could remote in to watch or rent movies or something like that, but you, Holly's, the library there said that you could not because it was cost prohibitive based on the number of residents that use the Holly Library compared to like Brandon or Auburn Hills. I'm not sure if you were familiar with any of that or not.
But I know that they asked the same thing of, Rose Township, and I'm under the impression from talking to the supervisor that they're going to do books
I
too.
don't know, I've always been able to use my card and get whatever through Holly, or Holly's offering.
Okay.
Does wine come with the sushi class?
That's the reason for the increase, right?
I'll let you know, okay?
They do bring in some print materials as well, very frequently, maybe quarterly. How often do you think she comes in? Maybe quarterly?
Oh, she drops off the book pages here like once a month. It's a little magazine with updates about stuff.
Yeah.
They are trying to upgrade and do things, but, so.
So, you want a motion from us to approve the $2?
You're saying Rose is gonna approve of it as well?
That's the
And-
discussion I had, she
So-
asked me what we were doing, and I said, I still thought they were a good deal, and we were gonna probably do it, so.
Yeah,
and she
because
said, yeah, we
honestly,
probably
the librarian did reach out to me and asked, what would a 1 mil, levy, what would 1 mil on your township bring in terms of like, for the library? I said, well, first of all, you have to actually take that to a vote of the people, and I
Right.
don't know that it would, I mean, I'm not saying it would pass or not pass,
It
but
wouldn't pass.
you would have to get that approved, and she's like, well, then they said about restructuring it a certain way, so we wouldn't have to take it to a vote. I'm like, yeah, that would
Yeah,
take our
no.
agreement, and I don't think that's gonna happen. But ultimately, a 1 mil, levy would be about, $300,000, right? And,
Just from our township?
Yeah.
What would they do with those funds? Would they rebuild
Well,
the building?
so-
I wouldn't
Why
wanna
not?
ask.
Why not?
Holly,
You wouldn't have any control over it.
there might,
That would be my- that would
there
be
might
my-
be wine with sushi.
There might be.
But Holly residents do have a millage on the library. And so the Holly residents are paying for the Holly Library, and then us Rose and Roland people are using it for a fee. So
Gotcha.
it makes it sound a lot more reasonable when put that way.
Yeah,
Just by
sure.
comparison, when we used to pay Ortonville, the library before it built the new building, I think we were paying $15,000. And when they came to us to build a new library, for those of you who don't remember or know, they asked if we would continue to do that when we moved, and I said, as long as we can continue to use it, sure. Then they fired the chief librarian there, and the board that runs the library said, you tell them to either pay the millage or nothing at all. Well, the millage at that time, I think, was gonna be about $170,000 or $190,000. I said, you tell them we'll take the nothing option. So we're not gonna pay more to run their library than we pay to run our township, so.
Right, right.
That's the story behind
And that was 20 years ago.
it. And that's the last time they ever offered anything. It was more of a threat, so, okay, so you wanna make a motion then? You want me to make it?
Sure.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve paying the Holly Library $2 per resident, this year and going forward.
Support.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? And would you take a roll call on that, Laura?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Robert DePalma.
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
All right, next one is discuss MTA dues. Put that together first too. There's a slight increase on that.
Yeah, it's only just under $300 there,
Is that figure got the included option for
the legal defense fund.
Yeah, because it's usually a good deal.
Yeah.
What's that?
Michigan Townships Association represents all 1,242 townships. They're the ones that kind of try to do the legal charges, like trying to stop the effort to have these energy systems bypass local zoning and gravel and sand bypass local zoning. They're the ones that kind of lead the fight on all that stuff.
And then they give educational materials.
Yeah, a lot of education.
Lots of education and training.
Networking resource.
They have a program too, Township Governance Academy, that's really helpful for people who are sitting on boards to take classes and, yeah, it's great. Teresa and I completed it last year. Yeah, good reason to graduate.
We need a motion to approve that.
We do.
Who wants to take that one?
Janelle, would you make that motion?
You know, I was about to do that. I motion that we approve the $5,554.24 to continue our MTA, membership for this following year.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Gina, any other questions or comments from the board? If not, Laura, please take a roll call on
Robert DePalma.
it. Yes?
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Okay, you're on a roll now. Gina. All right, do Decker, we got with him
Here we
too.
go. So Bob and Chief Mason and I met with the insurance agency, was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Couple weeks ago. Really, pretty much everything that you see here is very status quo compared to what we have, had last year. There is an increase in fees, just like everything else. The document that you have in your packet shows the overall $52,872 or $70. And then the document that I have it broken down for you, so you can see the difference between the 2 years from last year to this year. So it's about a $4,000 increase for fire and about a $2,000 increase for the township for all of our insurance packages, and they provide other things too, cybersecurity, workman's comp, all the things.
All the things.
All the things.
Fraud protection.
Yeah, fraud protection, bonds, all of our bonds are through them, and they're wonderful to work with, just so you know.
And if anybody's looked at your homeowners or car insurance in the last year, I don't know anybody that can't say they had a noticeable increase in it, like, I think car insurance on her car went up about 20%.
Yeah.
And, I know the house insurance went up a bit in the cottage too, so they all are.
He gave us a figure for about how much, but I don't remember what that was to you.
I think it works up to about 12%.
Okay.
I think it was 12.
12.
Yeah.
Looks like it.
So I would motion that we approve the $52,870 with the breakdown as presented to continue working with Decker Agency and their insurance programs.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor, or sorry, roll call.
Okay. Gina Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Robert DePalma.
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
This last one, I'll be honest, I don't know if you have to actually put that in there as an amendment, because OPEB's kind of a calculation of whatever head count is to the number, but if you wanna put it in there for a motion to make it recorded, that's fine.
Well, that's letter G.
Yeah.
We're not that far now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If
I was looking on this
Yeah, I
sheet.
know that she has it next, yeah.
All right, next item on the agenda is discuss gravel roads. You should have hopefully a copy of the handwritten note I made when I met with our road garage foreman. We do typically 3 miles every year. I did again get the 3 miles of gravel at no charge to us from the deal I did with Levy Company. He's planning on doing North Jasmine, the county line. These are his recommendations. Croup Road, all of it, and then Merkel, all of it. And, which I'm sure Steve Hojanowski will be happy because he's the one that reminds me every year. He tries to get that road done. And then any surplus he'll use that he has left from the gravel load, as needed in different spots on the roads. So that's what his recommendation is.
First, Merkel,
Jasmine, the county line,
North Jasmine.
Croup Road, all of it, and Merkel, all of it, and then the surplus that would be left over when he does it will just go to, any spots he needs it to touch up.
So that would probably be from, Groveland Road up to the county line
Yeah,
on
I'm
North
sure,
Jasmine?
yeah, that's
That's
gotta be
about a mile?
it.
Okay. And can you tell us again how those roads were chosen? The road commission chooses them.
I go to the foreman every year and I say, you tell me which ones you think need the most gravel, because I don't wanna be in a position, picking a road and then he says, well, I didn't really think you needed that one, I don't know why you picked it. He's the guy that's running it too.
Yeah.
So, he
Okay.
picks them every year. And
Perfect,
we've
that's what
always
I
done
wanted to hear.
it that way, and, that's why, the only thing I do, when I get a request during the year from somebody on a specific road, like Hojanowski will come in to me about every 3 or 4 years and say, you know, I haven't been done in a while. I said, well, I'll mention it at the meeting, and I mentioned it to Chris before he did them, and he agreed that that road needs it. Okay, well, that's the recommendation. I'll make a motion that we gravel for 2024 per the garage foreman Chris Dahl's recommendation. North Jasmine from Groveland to County Line, Croup Road, all of it, Merkel, all of it, and the surplus to be used in different spot repairs as he needs it.
I'll second that.
Any question? I'm sorry.
I just wanna bring up, if you hadn't noticed, they've been doing a lot of the ditches along the side of the road.
Yes,
Cleaning them, yeah, that's a whole separate crew that does that.
and part of that is me squeaking about them spraying.
Yeah, probably. Okay.
Good job.
Oh, I'll keep doing it, Alicia.
Well, the one last week on Redmond, I don't know if you're aware that the road commission actually went ahead and reinstalled a culvert for them. 'Cause
They have been awesome, and they're hauling all the Phragmites away
I know.
too, because they're still small.
I know.
So it's been nice, it's been
Yeah.
really nice. Great cooperative effort.
Yeah.
Well, we got a motion and a second, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this? If not, take a roll call vote on that.
Okay. Chanel Keller,
Yes?
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli, Robert DePalma.
Yes, and I will write Chris tomorrow, so he knows. We approved it. Okay. Next item on the agenda is discuss zoning ordinance and map. Should we agree?
We were, yeah, we kind of talked about it.
We wanna table that till?
I think it would give us some more time to look at
And
it.
then if there's a question, Danielle will be back, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
That would be awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna make a motion to table the zoning ordinance and map discussion till the next meeting. Okay, just so that
I
Danielle's
support.
back, cause her sister was having surgery today, serious surgery. Okay, is there a second to that?
I will second that.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay. So that'd be on next month's agenda. Then, next item is discuss the Michigan outdoor service
So.
estimate. That's people that
I'm
cut our
sorry.
lawn.
Took
That's
over,
okay.
right? Yeah, this one, in the budget meeting, we had talked about trying to kind of clean up what this looks like outside. I don't know if you've seen our beautiful weeds, and some things kind of falling apart a little bit. So, part of that was moving some of these trees. This was a tree that was dedicated many years ago, but it's kind of now being overgrown. So part of that was moving these bushes out. In the very back of the township, you'll see there's a big gap from where some plants and trees have died in the past. So we would like to have those move, and then we have a bunch of mulch that we were hoping to get spread. So this is what you're looking at right here, is the redefining of the edges, hedging, weeding, and then installing the mulch and the movement of the plants. So that is what on this Michigan Outdoor Service estimate, which thoughts?
The rocks, did you talk to him about putting the rocks back that were moved?
I did not talk to him about the rocks because we had talked about maybe having, Chris do.
Oh, okay, I just wondered, yeah, okay.
We do have some rocks that need to be moved. I don't know if people have driven over them, but there's kind of a little border around the peninsula. I don't know what you
Well,
want to
they
call
got
it.
moved when they
Yeah.
redid the blacktop,
Yeah,
so
So they just need to be
put
kind of
back.
moved back.
So our handyman is gonna,
We can talk about having maybe Chris do
Okay.
it, or maybe some 13-year-old young men that I know.
or maybe the cable manager.
Somebody,
If you need a tractor, move them out, bring Michael.
or maybe Chief Mason.
Or chief mason, yes. Are you have an issue with weed killer maybe used on small clover? Or
So-
other, I mean, I struggle
Sure.
with that, but.
Well, I do, I struggle with that, but also, I mean, I'm the one who transplanted thus far. And if they would put the mulch down appropriately, that's not a necessary thing.
The weed killer?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm sure we could make that request.
especially if we don't have, I mean, they're just gonna pick what they wanna use. We are at a well here,
Yeah.
it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like weed killer being used, so, I mean, I've looked around there, it's gonna take some elbow grease to,
Sometimes
get
it
some of
can
it
work
out.
better than fire.
It's never better than
You
fire.
don't like your weed torch? I love my weed torch.
Oh, we'll tell you a story in a minute.
Oh,
After,
okay.
you'll see.
Uh-oh, okay.
So this is a potential solution. We do have a handyman who has been working for us. It may take a little longer to get this project done if we have our handyman work on it, so it's totally up to the board. I mean, I'm not partial to anything, but I do think this might be a little quicker option.
Well, he's here all the time anyhow, right? I mean, would he do it during his regular cycle?
Maybe the mulch spreading may take a little while, so he'd probably have to put that on like another day.
Yeah, I think he would
If I
probably
had to
send his crew out a different day, because there's a lot of weeding to be done out there. It's overgrown. Hedging, weeding, yeah, I mean, I don't know, did he even say like, how many hours it might take him to do all this?
For this or for,
This bid?
it doesn't look like there's an hourly rate. It looks like this is just the completion of the project. This is what they will charge us total.
Which is great, cause his regular hourly rate is.
Yeah, it
pretty
really,
steep.
I just
Yeah.
think it's terrible.
Mhm.
So this is a project just kind of in the works for a couple of years, really. It's just,
Right.
we're trying to kind of
And
get
in
it
the budget
budgeted.
for the last couple of years. Yeah,
So just amend it with no
Mhm.
spraying.
I don't wanna say amended with no spraying, only because there might be something that's just totally stubborn, I don't know, but, I mean, I'm not doing the work, so I'm not gonna be out there pulling weeds. But I just don't wanna see like a whole bunch of Roundup get sprayed all over everything.
I don't think he's ever done that.
There's other things too, there's the fats. There are other options besides Roundup that work quite well.
Okay. So if that's the case,
You
then
even
we
buy
can leave that in
Roundup?
there. Oh,
I
yeah,
would.
you can still buy
Oh,
Roundup.
not in Canada. Monsanto's headquarters are in Wilmington.
Well, okay, so was a motion made to,
No, we haven't
Okay.
made a motion yet.
we need to leave this off the agenda here. I make a
So if we-
Are
motion.
we in, are we out, or?
Well-
I say go without the weed killer.
Okay,
Or without Roundup, something other than Roundup. Just because Roundup is carcinogenic, I don't want that anywhere near any place that I work or have residents coming in and out of. So, I mean, if you're saying if we don't approve this, then we have to find another bid, or we have to see if our handyman can do it. And
Let's just ask him, can we tell him we approve this
That's
bid
what I
subject
think, yeah.
to not
Absolutely.
using Roundup?
yeah.
And you could get several rolls of landscape fabric.
Well, I
For
thought
that
about
price
that too,
as
just
well.
landscape fabric.
So, yeah, I mean, a pain in the butt to put down now, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, let's do landscape fabric,
Okay.
or see if, that is a feasible option.
All right, well then I would motion
Okay,
that we go ahead and pursue this, Michigan Outdoor Services completing the landscape project, without the use of Roundup, potentially alternate weed prevention or removal. Is that fair?
That is good.
Okay.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Robert DePalma.
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
And I stand corrected, because when I looked at this OPEB, I thought you were thinking of a contribution rate, but you're actually talking about getting the study done.
Yeah,
That's what I have to
sure.
do. So you're correct, this does have to be here. The next item on the agenda is discuss the OPEB actuarial service agreement. You know, we're required by law to get it done periodically to make sure that the funding is correct. I think there's really only one company that one of these that I know of that actually does it.
And they're familiar with us.
Yeah, they did our last one, but it looks like the fee's gone up like everything since 22,
Mhm.
a few $100s.
Yeah, so it's a requirement for us to do it every 2 years with the recommendation that they do a partial review in the off years, but we have not had one done in 2 years. So, you'll see the full evaluation, there's a 6% cybersecurity fee, that's that tech fee that you see in the middle. Full evaluation is $63.60. The compliance reporting, is that second line, the $636, which brings it to a total of $6,996. So, since it is a requirement, I would motion that we go ahead and continue with, CBIZ to perform our actuarial for this past fiscal year.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from the board?
This is just for the full valuation, it's not for the partial.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, motion's been made and seconded. Would you please take a roll call?
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli,
Yeah.
Robert DePalma,
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes.
Okay, next item, this employee handbook, were we gonna also table that one?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just a matter of we're still working on
Not done,
it.
wait till we get it ready to go.
Yep,
Okay, so
continue to work on it within the office.
make a motion, we table H, discuss the updates to the employee handbook, and till we have it ready, hopefully for July meeting. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's tabled. The next item is to discuss the assignment of the broker to the tech park. You know, we talked about it when we had the work session on the tech park. In the last meeting, we agreed to hire Tom Z Promotions for the marketing video and work at the trade facilities. Now I think we need to hire the broker. As I recall, the meeting we had, everybody was kind of confirmed to use the guy that Barry's been doing it for 25 years. You're not?
He doesn't have a commercial certification. I can't in good conscience work on a commercial endeavor without someone without commercial certification.
He's been doing stuff for Barry all along. He buys
I get it,
all of
but-
Barry's property.
Okay, but he doesn't have commercial certification, and this is a big deal. It's not that we can't say you need to get it,
I don't know.
but
if
I
we do that.
can't.
Bob, can you please review for me what his scope of work, what his?
It's gonna be the listed broker, so when somebody calls in and says, I wanna talk about a piece of property, we're gonna defer him to the real estate broker to discuss it with potential clients. And he would be trying to find and listing it in other services like he outlined in that information to us, that he would list it on.
All right, just, I forgot the gentleman's name.
Jeff Dahl, or Jeff,
Yeah,
Dahl.
you're right, Jeff Donald.
I don't feel he has the breadth of experience in national organizations, who to talk to, who to cultivate. I think he's too local, in my opinion.
Well, part of the problem we're gonna have is, I know, we talked about this in the meeting, Barry's been dealing with this guy for 25 years, and he has nothing but good stuff to say about him on deals he gets done that others haven't been able to do. And the other broker we talked about was the guy that helped us with the appraisal on the fire department. but we wanted to minimize the number of people we're interfacing with on this, getting it started, so I'm just telling you, I'm sure Barry will use him either way.
What is the term that you were thinking?
Well, I'm
about?
thinking match that like Z Promotions, we give him the first 3 years to see if he can come up with something, if he can't, we'll cut him loose then and we'll take somebody else.
I personally think it's a mistake. I'd be happy to see what we can do in 6 months. But I strongly believe we need people with national outreach.
We can do it for a different term if you want, but I kinda say, I think 6 months is light because Barry's gotta get that building done and we gotta get the work going on the rest of the road to the park and the entrance fixed up so it looks like something when somebody comes out there to see the project, so I honestly think it's gonna be longer than 6 months. I don't know about 3 years, but it should be longer than 6 months.
Is your vision, this is unconditional, that if somebody, say somebody just comes in and says, hey, you know what, I wanna buy this property, that he gets a percentage just for being our broker?
Well, that can happen, yeah. I mean, when you're a realtor, if you list a piece of property, generally you get the broker fee on it when you do the negotiations, the paperwork on the broker's closing. We don't have anybody in-house for sure, that would be
No,
able to
but-
do the broker's work on it.
So the term of these leases, I mean, this could be $50,000 hits at a time.
Well, but he's actually agreed to take his, I told him that we wanted to spread the fees out that they got over the length of the time closer to what we were doing on the leases, so that we didn't have to shell out a lot of money before we had some coming in. And he's amenable to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
we
would expect
did,
that.
I'm just saying, we talked about all this at the meeting, and nobody said anything when we brought it up, because the 2 brokers we talked about were Jeff Dolly, because Barry's used them, and I know he wants to use them, and then the guy that did the appraisal for us, that Will knows, that we had to do the township fire station, which we were all happy with, because he got us a good buck for that, right? And I left it with Will after he asked me. I went back to him and said, if you can work something out with Jeff, because I know Barry won't do it without Jeff, I'm amenable to doing both of you, but he couldn't pull that off. I think Jeff feels that he can sell this himself, and I don't know how else to start this. Now, if we change this, it's gonna be a whole new set of negotiations that nobody brought up, that entire workday on this, and I asked specifically.
We spent very little time discussing those 2 entities.
Well, those are the only 2 we had talked to, because they're the only 2 we've worked with that we had any experience and comfort level with. And the other alternative was with a different approach altogether, which would be an option 2 or option 3 approach, which I agree. I don't wanna tie the property up so long that if something doesn't work, we can't change it. But if you wanna change it now, I have no idea when we'll get it done or who it'll be. That's all I'm saying.
Well, same thing when Tom Z was here, they've got 8 potential customers for us. Are we expected to refer those customers to our preferred broker if they're the ones who gleaned them?
I had explained to both brokers that Tom Z was being retained for the marketing because he is the contact that does all the leasing basically at the park and has all the contacts, and that there would have to be some sharing of commissions with him. So I would actually leave that to the broker and Tom to iron it out, but both brokers we talked to and Tom Z understand it's gotta be shared somehow. We're not gonna pay twice or 1.5 times or anything else. It's whatever the broker fee is, you figure out how to split it up. And Jeff's broker fee was the lower of the 2 bids to us.
Would we be signing a contract with him for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, he has a contract he uses for when he lists property. Yeah.
Can
I
that,
think it was in the package to it,
can that be written into the contract that is shared fee?
Oh,
with-
I'm sure it'd be no problem, because I've told that to everybody. We can't ask Tom to be marketing this stuff and then tell him he gets
Right.
nothing.
Okay,
So,
right.
there's no problem with that.
I would want that to be written into the contract for
I
sure.
agree.
Bob, what was the fee? Do you remember?
5%. Typical is more like 6 or sometimes 7 or 8, depends on the property. Sometimes it's more of a. It was 5 and the other was 6.
Do we have a copy of the brokerage agreement? We can review that?
I think I have one in the package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't
put it in there.
I know, and
I
that's.
brought it up.
Right,
Nobody asked a question. I said, I think in this case here, I know that Barry will not work without this guy. He's done his deals for 25 years.
and
He
that's.
just doesn't wanna
great.
do it with
Yeah,
somebody else.
That's great, I just wanna see some more, not just international, but commercial, I mean, at least get the certification, that just, and I wanna see a real estate attorney that is also a realtor, who actually knows what the hell they're doing when they're closing this on us. This is a huge deal.
Well, if it takes off like that, yes, but remember, the other problem is we can't get, part of the reason we're doing it this way is we can't get a big user in there without electrical service to
Right.
facilitate it. This whole approach is directed towards trying to get some of the off-road manufacturers that might want test and tune type facilities to be able to do it. Because they got over electrical.
That doesn't mean that we compromise on our representation.
I guess I don't view this, and the biggest objection is I don't know why nobody said a single thing in a day-long meeting about this particular issue, which would have been much easier to ferret out then.
Because I couldn't read it while we were talking, there was so much going on. I didn't get this other than the day of the meeting. I didn't have time.
Well, what do you wanna do? I mean, the
Yeah,
longer
you-
it takes, the
yeah.
I'm just saying, the longer it'll be, till someone gets my business, okay?
You're fine.
And any person is welcome to bring a customer,
Well, that always happens.
right?
But that's typical in real estate. I had a real estate license, it's typical. The
Mhm.
listing guy gets half of it, and the selling guy gets the other. That's typical, standard fare in the real estate business. So, you're right, any broker that had property could come in and say, I wanna do it, but we would send it to that guy, and they would have to split it however they were gonna do it.
Again, I can't do it unless there's a commercial certification involved. That's my bottom line.
Okay? What's the board wanna do?
Have we interviewed anybody other than these two, Bob?
No, because we didn't wanna work with somebody that we didn't have experience with, and we've had good experience, either we did or Barry has, with the two brokers that we talked to.
Gina?
The only other one I talked to was Avison and Young, which I gave them a chance, and they couldn't deliver on
On the brokerage part.
it. Yeah.
Gina, I'm not saying you're wrong,
Okay.
but I believe if you're a real estate broker, I'm not aware of any commercial certification.
There is a commercial certification, there's varying levels, but there is.
His thing, his bio thing said he sells commercial real estate.
He does, yeah, he does. And then he did our comps. I'm just saying there is certification, some are 6 weeks and online. But I think it is important for a commercial, I mean, that's what this is, straight up commercial. I want someone who knows the jargon and has the acumen to differentiate between the different levels of, what the wants and needs are. Obviously, I don't think we're gonna have any Class A facilities in
Well,
there, but if we do,
Let's say he's got a lot of experience, and the jargon's not the issue. He's been very informative in
I
helping me
know
understand how they do their
him.
leases.
No, I know him. I purchased from him. He is not my problem. It's looking at what this presentation is and looking at the scope of the whole project. And again, I need this to be transferred into exceptional hands.
Bob,
So, okay, go ahead, Jim.
This gentleman, Bob, he's entrusted with park marketing, or is all the marketing up to Tom Z?
Well, Tom Z is the key to getting to the off-road manufacturers and suppliers. So even if we left it to him, I don't think he'd be able to get to anywhere near the same people that Tom can.
Okay, and Tom, does Tom hold a real estate license?
No, no, but he's the one that does all the promotional stuff at the park. Almost all the rentals at the park are in his name regardless of who goes there, because he sets up all the events there. He knows all the people when he goes to the SEMA show that deal in the business, so he's got the entree to know not only who might be a candidate, but but who within that organization is the right person to talk to get a project? So I wouldn't profess that Jeff would necessarily know that. I would envision him being more in line with,
Yeah.
somebody calls up, I saw you got a park, because I've had calls like that, we're interested in looking at it, can you tell me what it is, and let him handle the discussions with them.
And Tom's fee is paid by us, if he brings something,
Now, Tom's fee is paid for the marketing part.
yeah,
If he's going to get any money at all from selling, he's going to have to sit down with Jeff, and they're gonna have to agree on whether or not they split it or how they split it. And I've explained that to both Tom and Jeff, and I explained it to the other realtor as well, if that's what happened. The key to this, to finding out if we can crack the manufacturers, is going to be Tom Z, not some realtor.
Right.
Again, forgive me, because it's been years, I don't believe Tom can get paid by the real estate company without being a realtor. I'm sorry, without being licensed.
I think he can get a fee, because I mentioned it to both of them, and neither one of them said it was a problem.
Okay. I can support this for a year. I've gotta see what this guy, it's free
Okay.
money, as far as I'm concerned, for not doing a lot of work. And I've never heard this guy from Adam, and I've been in commercial real estate 30 years. Let's talk, what do we wanna do?
I can tell you this much, I'm sure that Barry will not, even if we do it for a year, Barry won't break away from him after a year.
But that doesn't hurt
Yeah,
us.
it doesn't hurt us.
Well, only in that it makes it a little more difficult. The whole purpose of doing this was to try and get a team down that had a limited number of contacts, so we wouldn't be bouncing them around. Now, when somebody comes out, it's going to be, well, if this goes to two different brokers later, well, who's the broker on the township property? And who's the broker on Barry Bass's property? And if somebody moves from one lot to the other, we've had a very good working relationship with Barry. When we talked to the first couple of potential candidates that said, the piece they want happens to be half ours and half yours, to which Barry said, great, we'll swap something, I don't care.
Well, this doesn't preclude, we can't renew it in a year if the man performs.
I would agree, and I don't think that's bad.
That keeps this person happy, that's all I can say, but
And that's fine,
Put
we
the
don't
motion
all,
together
we don't
and
all have
pass
to
it
vote
out.
yes, I mean, that's what this is about.
yeah. So, yeah,
I don't know how expensive it is to get a commercial endorsement if it exists, right? But like you said, if he could go online and we could do something, if we could maybe speak to him and say, look, it would make you sound more, would it make him more attractive as a broker to do a commercial place if he had the credentials of commercial? I'm not a real estate agent, I don't know.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm guessing this guy would just say no.
Well, he's been doing this for how long? 40 years, and he has experience in residential sales, land development, land planning, commercial and investment properties. So, I don't know, my
So
gut
the
tells
test
me
should be
that,
a breeze.
well, the test should be a breeze probably, yes. But, I mean, if he felt the need to get the certification
Yeah, but
prior
that-
to this, maybe he would have already done it, I don't
And maybe
know.
he has in the past and not kept it up, that's not on
I don't know.
but again,
But I could probably, I could support what Jim's suggestion is, and let's go with him for a year, and at that point, we can reevaluate, and if he seems to be doing a good job, we keep him.
Seems reasonable.
is that the motion?
I will make a motion that we retain, what's the word?
Atlas would
Atlas Real Estate with Jeff Dawley as the broker for the tech park for a term of 1 year.
And if you want to put in there, and that he needs to work out any,
Oh,
Commission
and
splits.
that any commission splits will be worked out between the broker and Tom Z and any other person who brings somebody to the table. Like,
sounds good. Okay, is there a second?
I'm happy to second it, but I have a question. Can we ask Will to review the listing agreement
Sure,
as part of this, please?
sure.
subject to approval by our attorney of the listing agreement.
Yeah, and I'm
I would
happy,
anyway, but that's fine.
yeah, and I'm happy to second it on those conditions.
Okay?
there's a second to that.
I'm
Any other
trying.
questions or comments from the board? Okay, if none, Laura, take a roll call.
Robert DePalma,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
No.
Okay. Next item is, the price per acre that we wanna start off on this. And, most of you know, we've been poking around and Barry has done some research in Auburn Hills, and this is the last mega site available in all of Oakland County. So, I think we should start the asking price frankly at $150,000 an acre. And I had discussed that with Barry first for a while, and then later with Jeff. And, that seems to be
His
the number
comps
we
are in
think
here
we should
as
go
well.
to. Yeah. So, that would be my motion that we, initially offer the property at $150,000 an acre.
What's your vision in terms of, say somebody wants 20 acres? Is the notion to first try to get a lease so we have revenue, or is the notion?
I have told, both brokers we work with, our preference would be to lease the property for long-term. And I think in that package you saw, Jeff worked out some estimated leases for 30, 40, maybe it was 50 years too. That's the preference, but there might be some that won't do that, and they may insist on a purchase, and it kinda depends where they wanna do it. What we've been doing in the past, somebody that wanted to look at about 50 acres happened to turn out to be somebody that Barry's known for over 20 years when I brought him out to the site. And I think he would be a better candidate on the back of the park. Ideally, if we had, I think, a group of smaller users, for the most part, it would be advantageous for what we're trying to do and easier to get started. But if somebody were to buy a large parcel, we've had a couple that have inquired about it. Remember I said there was one guy that wanted to talk about a Bitcoin farm, which is really a computer center, that was looking for about 30 acres. I would guess when somebody buys, if you look at any of the other comparables in the area, when they buy 30 or 50 or 80 acres, they're usually gonna ask for something off on the price. That's a negotiation that's gotta be handled then. But I don't wanna offer this property at less than $150,000 to get started, because it's got two unique aspects. It's the last mega site, it's in Oakland County, and it also has the direct access on the easement to the ORV park. So to somebody that wants to be there for that, those two features, I think, make it extremely advantageous. If we find out we're wrong, the market will tell us that. And Barry's looked in Auburn Hills, there's not a whole lot available down there. The stuff there was all 100 and a quarter to 150 an acre.
Okay.
That was just the printout and how you, what you were just talking about. If it's this many acres, this is what we're recommending per acre price, yeah.
The preference is, and has always been on the township's part, to try and do these on land leases to spread the revenue out. So if the money comes in, the township can project what they wanna do with it.
Right, no, that
going
makes,
forward.
that one makes sense.
And I'll say this, most of the potential clients we've talked to, when I say land lease, they're like, yeah, we like that. Okay. There's, the only one that didn't wanna talk about land lease was the first one where I was trying to get the laser mill operator out here. He said, I'm gonna sell my business in 5 years and move to Florida. I don't wanna have it on a land lease, I wanna buy it outright and be able to sell the whole damn thing. Any other questions or comments? Okay, and we took a roll call vote on it, so I'll,
No.
I'm sorry, did you take a roll call vote?
We didn't make
I
a
need-
motion for a hundred.
I need a second.
Oh, I can, 150 an acre.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, I thought we had a second, I
I didn't hear
apologize.
the motion, I'm sorry.
That we, offer the property at $150,000 an acre initially,
I can second that.
okay? Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, if not, now can we have a roll call vote? Sorry.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Robert DePalma.
Yes. Okay. So I'll call.
Bless you.
Okay. Next item is miscellaneous reports, Holly Area Youth Assistance.
Okay, so they have a full-time, they just received a grant for a full-time caseworker named Sarah McGrath, which is pretty exciting for them. So Tasha, who had been working for them before, is now full-time over in Brandon, so that's kind of exciting for them. They had, I don't know the overall number, it's somewhere in my paperwork if you really wanna know the overall number, but from Groveland Township alone, since January, they have had 19 referrals. Their meetings are now, it's kind of awkward with, they've shifted their meetings, I know I've kind of shared this in the other meetings, so they're gonna meet in like a week, which means I really won't get last month's update for probably another 5 days. So this is a little bit behind, but, they did have their Memorial Day parade, they had a cap and gown program, but did not receive any applications for it. Laura Rainey has been completely approved as one of their new members. And then a couple days ago, they did have a Holly Pride celebration at the American Legion. Their next meeting is June 17th at 3:30. And then, just gonna loop this in there for the Holly veterans. Their temporary location is at the Holly Nazarene Church. They have a new co-director who is a Navy veteran. Her name is Katrina Gramer. And they are looking at having some roundtables with veterans and legislative leaders. That's what I have for Haya and Veterans Program.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
BGYA, their board meeting is, this Wednesday, but as of last month, the Ortonville Order of the Eastern Stars was present, and they gave a $3,000 donation to the BGYA, specifically to be used for Miss Fran's Steps and Stories. They have been supporting that for years, they buy the shoes for all the kids at the end of the season, and so on, so they, figured they would fund it, that should fund it for 3 more years. Again, Tasha is full-time at Brandon, there was an article in the Citizen about that this past week. Let's see, Wojo's fundraiser day was June 1st and 2nd, so I'm not sure how much money they made from that, they might know this Wednesday, maybe I'll find out. They have the farmer's market in downtown Ortonville, that BGYA will be present, I think they're present at more than was just one of them, but they actually have a table at the July 27th one, which is Kids Day, and volunteers are needed. August, they're gonna do a lunch in Crossman Park on August 13th for the regular meeting, and of course, all the board members are invited to that if they would like to attend on August 13th for the regular board meeting. And, that's pretty much it. Did you find out about the dog? I did. I asked I asked Carly Stone, the superintendent, about the comfort dogs. That was an FYI flyer, just to let us know that Phoebe and I forget the other dog's name, I should know it, but at any rate, they're getting these dogs, and they sent that information out to the public just in case you wanted to support it, you could. It's not, they weren't asking for donations, but we did talk about it at BGYA, and I suggested that that might be a very appropriate thing for BGYA to actually support, because it fits really well with BGYA's mission. So, yeah, Carly clarified, they were not soliciting specific donations from us, just more or less putting it out there in case anybody felt strongly like this was something, but she did say they do have some funds to cover that are not from the school, but they know that some people really do wanna support, and so it's just out there right now, so, yeah.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, planning commission, Jim?
Rob, I was sick as a dog and missed the meeting. From what I understand, we had a little bit of a hint of the Vesper Energy, but short of that, Neil didn't remember too much talking more, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's what open meeting was, because I wanted to make sure everybody on the planning commission knew that it was the first time we were all together, so. Okay. ZBA?
We did grant a variance last month, for someone to add an outdoor roof section lean-to type thing to their already existing outbuilding. And there's no meeting this month, but we are having the first meeting for the committee that's gonna look at the ordinance regarding accessory buildings.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. For me, everybody, I think, knows now that we have, and actually pretty good turnout, I thought, for the, meeting on 6/3 from Vesper. The grant from the county, again, I've been told, for the marketing, we're getting it, so I'm trying to pin him down as to actually how he gets here, and I might know that by tomorrow. And the last thing is, of course, there's another meeting here scheduled at 5:30 on Wednesday. This is gonna be from the lady that is doing the ordinance creation for Eagle, and I thought it would be good, and people might wanna ask her questions about where they're going in that direction and what's gonna happen on it. So, it's just to provide more information, it's not a board meeting, it's an informational meeting. Okay, that's it for my report. Janelle, did you wanna?
I don't have a whole lot. We didn't have the internet and phone pretty much all day today, so
Yeah.
tried to get a hold of us. Sorry, we didn't.
Very quiet morning.
Yeah, we got to clean our desks a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't come on till about
I
2:30.
called them up, yeah. Oh, give you $5 off your bill.
Oh.
Oh, God, my camera, nothing was working.
Yeah, nothing. The same thing at the house. I know, we didn't have it anywhere. It sounds like it went down all the way down to Waterford from what I heard.
Did it really?
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what happened. You guys know?
There's like 10 trucks on Dixie Highway by the Parkway Hotel.
Really?
Oh.
How long was that?
Sides of the road, yeah.
I mean, it was probably didn't come back till 2:30.
It went out at 4:37 this morning.
Okay.
How did you know that?
My cameras told me.
Oh.
And then when I called them, and I'm like, okay, now it came out, they sent a message and text me and said it came out at 3:30 something.
Yeah, it was
That's
later
what the time
in the
trucks
day.
left, so that's
Yeah, there
probably.
wasn't much time in the day, much left of the day left. I know, but you don't realize how much we joked about it, how much you use Alexa until she's not working. Alexa, what's the weather today? Alexa?
Who's the service provider?
And my internet's not at home, but Alexa's still speaking to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe unplug and plug her back
I
in.
work from home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
try
that's
that.
okay.
Interesting. I call both, I call one and the other
You
one.
have a special line.
Whatever they are.
Yeah, ours was good.
Well,
too.
it lights up, and the light goes around, but I can't hear her saying anything, and the
So-
speaker's working on everything else.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay, I'll try and plug it.
Yeah, so we did get that back later in the day, but if you did try to call up here or email and nobody responded, it's a possibility that we didn't get it. We are on our way into the election season, so we have August and November elections coming up. If you're on the permanent ballot list, you'll probably start to get those ballots sometime right around first week of July, if I had to guess off the top of my head. We're supposed to have the ballots by the 22nd of June. It's always up in the air. But everyone, if you are on the permanent AV list, absent voter list, then you probably already received your application in the mail. So it's either a yellow, a blue, a green, or a pink sheet. If you're on the permanent ballot list, you will not have received one of those. You'll automatically get that ballot. We will have early voting again, just like we did in February. So just so you know, we'll have 9 days. It's the 2 Saturdays before the election up until the Sunday before the election. You can come right in here to the office. If you have an absent voter ballot, you can bring that in if you'd like, or you can get a fresh ballot downstairs. You can even bring your ballot in and turn it in and get it, like surrender it, not submit it, but you can surrender it and get a different ballot if you'd like a fresh one. So a lot of options with elections. It's new to people. Don't be scared of it. I was scared of it just because there are a lot of new rules, but a lot of great information. It gives you multiple opportunities, different ways that you can vote. So you can vote from home, you can come in early, you can still come in on the traditional election day, but that's coming up soon. I already mentioned the library stuff. I'll let Chief Mason touch on the open house from yesterday. That went very well, but I'll let him kind of share that. And then the only thing I just wanted to make sure I highlighted, because we did contribute, those Ortonville fireworks are gonna be coming up in a couple weeks. When, for the,
July 3rd.
yeah, for the, Fourth of July celebration, Independence Day, so.
Where will they have them at?
Do you know where they're at?
They usually hold them, between the high school
In
and
the
the middle
middle.
school. I think they're somewhere behind, like behind the middle school.
Yeah, the field that it connects between the two.
Yeah.
But they will have like food trucks all up and down the bus line at the high school, so that,
That'd be good.
yeah, there were tons of them last year, so that's the big thing.
That I think is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Teresa?
Yeah, I don't have very much either, just preparing the summer tax bill, July board of review is coming up for the approval of poverty exemptions and clerical errors, that's, I believe, on July 16th, it's the third Tuesday of July, 10 a.m. Appointments can be made with the assessor, and, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to ask any questions? Yeah, sure.
So first I wanna thank you, all of you for serving. You know, you're never gonna please everybody. Well,
We had that discussion this morning.
I used to work with the public in a different capacity, and there's always happy people and unhappy people, and I just consider it courageous that you're willing to take on conflict.
Thank you.
So, I wanted to say that, and then, am I in a timer?
No.
3 minutes. Second, do we have job descriptions for all of you? Formal job descriptions?
There's kind of a red book from the MTA that says what the jobs are, but I'm just telling you, if you read it, it's kind of deliberately vague. You'll find that it might be hard to find two township supervisors that do the job exactly the same. And the description in the red book's not all that comprehensive. It basically says you chair the meetings.
Well, the statutory duties are lengthy, they're not just
There's-
chairing a meeting, there's a
Well,
lot of.
that's for the supervisor, I would think, but for the clerks and the treasurers, there's more significant list of what they have to do, yes.
Okay, so with that said, I just encourage a job description be in place for all of you. I think that's pretty standard.
Chanel?
Go ahead, please. We're really working on that, that's been a
So-
project of mine,
Yeah, so actually, item number, or letter,
yes.
H,
H.
discuss update on employee handbook and policy. So we actually have been working on these for the last couple of months. We do have policies and, so management procedures and an employee manual in place right now. We found that there were a lot of discrepancies and some information that was outdated that needed to be fixed. So we are working on that. There are employee or job descriptions in there for, I would say, the three of us, and then what are considered part-time staff. Some of those are also inaccurate, so as I
Right.
mentioned, the three of us do have statutory duties, stuff that we have to be responsible for legally by law. And then within those job descriptions, there are a number of other things that are listed. Also a number of things that aren't listed.
Right.
So we do actually have one, but not for everyone. So we are still working on kind of freshening that up. My personal goal, I would really like to have this done by next month. I just think that it would be nice to have it out of the way, so that's my goal. I can't promise that will happen, but I'm shooting for that, is to have all those updated.
The other item would be, and I feel really strongly about this. I've been around the block for a while, and I was in an organization where, the person that was leaving, was replaced by someone they didn't like. Transition of power. No matter who's replacing you. And I don't need to remind you, you guys are very well aware that you're serving the public. That's a given, right? So if there's not a good plan for transition of power, it's not fair to the citizens. That transition of power has to be done completely and smoothly, no matter who replaces you. I was in a position where that did not occur. My mentor for 30 years, someone extremely well respected statewide, and they stood there and said, they gave me such a hard time, I'm not giving them information they can figure it out. the rest of us, the ones that were remaining, we said, what about the public? Who suffers? The public. So I would, hope that, you know, whether you're running again, not running, I wish you well in your retirement. We really need a good transition of power, especially because you have so much history.
Well, yeah, I know.
And I'm not saying that you wouldn't.
But we've had that discussion, and Teresa had suggested I put something together before I go on kind of the state of the township and a lot of the history that nobody else remembers, and I'll do that. And I think we've done a pretty good job, especially in the last 2 years, of me telling them what I thought the long-range trajectory for the township was and how we had to get there. And I feel pretty confident that the whole board understands what we're trying to do to get there. So I don't think there'll be a complete loss of that information, but admittedly, I'll say there's probably, I don't know, 5 times a day, somebody asks me a question and they go, how did you know that? I don't know, I've been around since dirt, right? So I know all of that stuff, and it's hard to remember and articulate all of that, but I'm not moving anyplace. I love living here, so I'm only a phone call away anyway. But we've had that discussion, and I think the last 2 years, the budget meetings in particular have been focused on trying to get everybody on the same sheet of paper for the direction we're going in. And then Teresa's suggestion, I said, yeah, we do that before I leave, to make sure that everybody is teed up on it, and I'm not going anywhere, I'm a phone
And
call
I've
away.
seen with transition of power, there are times where, some people just say, hey, call me, got an issue. Other people go, you put me on retainer. Other people will say, if you call me, I'll be a contractor, you know.
How many times are you wrong?
Well, and that probably,
Well, because-
honestly, that probably depends on, are you calling for information or are you calling every day to have the whole job done? There's a difference there.
I think it's a huge loss you leaving because of the historical knowledge. I'm working on a project right now where we've got these items that will go, how did we come up with this? And nobody knows. And some of those things are pretty important. And your knowledge is.
46
got a lot of
years is a
value.
lot of it that it would be hard for me to even remember how to tell everybody everything I could think of in 46 years, but I'm not going anywhere. And I'm more than willing to provide information if somebody asks for it, but I think the board's actually pretty well teed up on the big picture of where we're going, and
3 out of 5 are voting unopposed, so the
Yeah.
majority will be here for sure.
yeah. So I think,
Your knowledge and your experience and your history is not replaceable.
yeah, because I realized a few years ago I was the only one that remembered how some of the stuff got done here. And there are been a few odd ends, and I've put together a lot of different deals over the years for the township, and I realized when they asked me, how did you know that? I don't know, I put that in the deal when I wrote it. But I don't know who got it after I wrote it, you know, and some of them have gotten a bit lost in the translation, we've had to pick them up, but I think we've been catching most of those. Yeah, they're pretty good at it, and I said, if somebody asks something, I'm not going anywhere. I'll give the cell phone back to the township that's theirs, but
It
mine's
sounds like you
still
need
mine.
to list the hot projects that you're working on, where they are.
Yeah, well, my goal actually is to have the last couple of aspects of the park ready. When I leave, my goal was to have a team in place that could start with for doing it, and the marketing material in place for it. And that's why I wanted price set, who's gonna be the broker, who's gonna be the marketing guy, how are we gonna do this, and get it started so that there's somebody to get that off the ground first. But as I've said a number of times, there are going, I'll guarantee you, Jim and I have had this discussion, I guarantee you there will be 1 million questions that will come up between now and getting that park really rolling. And I don't know how else to explain it except you have to deal with them as they come up. I don't necessarily know and can't anticipate every conceivable issue that's come up to get us to this point. But I just deal with them one at a time as I go, and you need to be able to kind of react to that stuff as it goes. But if somebody needs an opinion on what do you think you should do, I'm there. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Yes, on a quick lighter note, Leanne, I'm so sorry, I meant to bring this up in my quick report. We were talking yesterday and had some great little ideas,
Oh,
yes.
yes,
Laura and I have
yes.
actually talked about some of them in the past. We're hoping that we can kind of work on some projects over the next couple of months. The worm, what's it called?
Snake line.
The snake, the rocks, yes.
Yes, the rock snake, so we can, if you're not familiar, it's basically
It's a
rocks
very
that are
important
painted,
project, Bob.
that makes like a nice
That make you wanna
little
stay.
worm. Snake.
Snake.
Yeah, not a worm, it's a snake, cause it's much bigger.
Kinda like a centipede.
And we had talked about maybe doing like
Like
a,
Waterford's doing one right now.
yes.
What is it?
So it's just a fun community project. So someone, and we were thinking, and I was talking to you guys, if maybe I was trying to think of a way to promote the park back there.
Oh,
Get more people back there.
oh, have them make
So-
some kind of a
Well,
rock
someone
snake back there?
someone paints a rock that looks like a snake head,
Uh-huh.
and then the community, children,
Right.
whoever, adults, can either paint a rock at home, and then you grow the snake, and then people come up to the park and they put their rock on, and the snake gets bigger and bigger. And my problem, was A, could we do that, and B, where would we put it, where would you want it, so it's not like a trip hazard?
It has to be on the front half of the park, because the back half of the park's actually state land.
So I mean,
That's another little tidbit, just
So
by
that's
the
just
way.
bringing them here, right? Just
Maybe
bring-
that should be our border, our parking lot border.
Yeah.
well, you could put it right around your walkway if you want.
Well, we'll also have some nice mulch
Oh,
coming
yeah.
in soon too, so maybe it could go right through our little.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, I like that.
It's just something that the community can participate in, it's fun. And
Yeah.
Good idea.
the kids will go out there and put their rocks there, and they maybe come and see the rock or add another rock.
Yeah, just some community connection. You know, we had talked about doing little, library, the mini libraries that you sometimes see, or even the small pantries. We talked about maybe.
Where you put the books in it?
Yeah, something like that.
They tried that once through the Holly Library for a while.
Did they?
I think so, you'd have to go back to the
Yeah.
lady there and ask
They're
her,
all
but I think
over,
they-
yeah.
All over, there's a couple in the Grand Avenue.
There's non-perishable food boxes.
Yeah.
By the, by the senior
boxes.
center.
And today my husband and I were going, oh, a little toy box.
Yeah.
And then you put a toy in, take a toy out, or don't put one in, just
Make
take
sure all the
one out.
pieces are in the puzzle.
How do
Okay.
people find
Then
it?
take two out.
Where, like,
You have to promote them.
Yeah.
yeah, cause I was gonna say,
Facebook.
like, I mean, I only know of one food box and it's up in Grand Lane. that I
There's one
go
at the
to.
senior center in Brandon.
Okay,
And,
see, I didn't know
our
that, like,
church.
you know, nothing, there's, like, how do you find that information out, you know?
Yeah, there's
You
a
know,
great food pantry up in Goodrich.
People are famous for coming up with ideas.
Almost good.
Great idea, okay, you go do it, right? And then I'm off the hook. So I'm willing to lead, coordinate, support.
Yes.
I wanna do something fun. I still work part-time and
You've been saving the rocks, haven't you?
And I'm all about it. If you've seen our little find the bees and,
Oh, yeah.
ladybugs.
Oh, ladybugs, yeah.
Yes, the bees and ladybugs, you'll see there's a little paper in there and it says how many bees and ladybugs can you find, and all hidden all throughout are very tiny ladybugs and bees. It's fun for the kids when they come in, you know, they're bored out of their mind as their parents are picking up bug spray or whatnot.
I mean, nationwide, they're doing the
It's
rock
fun for
snake.
those kind of things, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I like the rock snake.
Anyway, I actually did mean to bring that up during my quick report and I forgot,
Okay.
so,
Okay, duly noted.
so there it is. That's all.
Anything else? Anybody?
I have a public service comment to make.
Sure.
Chief Mason, or Bob, Alma, whoever chose the opportunity to go ahead and side sickle Groveland Road to cut down all of the grass, so it makes it easier to see driving along. Please tell them what my husband and I said thank you very much.
Definitely. I will mention that to Chris, because it really is the road foreman that decides when they do that stuff.
Normally we see the road commission tractors, and I know what yours looks like, and we were on the way up to a friend's place to give them a hand on their farm, and I was like, wait a minute, what is it, that's not a guy.
Waterford's
So that was much, really appreciate that.
The issue is probably more realistically tied to, was the side cutter working the day they sent them out?
It was.
Because half the time that stuff's broke.
I can only imagine why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was much appreciated.
Oh,
Isn't that cute? So that's what it looks like.
and the little sign's got Waterford's logos on it, so you could do something if you wanted.
Okay.
I'll tell you, in the Marine Corps, when you had to paint rocks, that was punishment. That wasn't-
They weren't
That
painting
wasn't a good
snake
thing.
heads on them, right?
Paint them white.
I do have a little question.
Sure.
The light, that is at Perryville Road and Dixie, there's a street light?
Illumination light?
Yeah, I guess. Who, is that county?
No.
Because
There-
half the time it works, half the time it doesn't.
Well, I don't know that particular light off the top of my head, but all the lights out here are either paid for an individual if it's at their house, or it's paid for the most part, by the township. Like the two out here, we pay for these. And so if that light's not working, if you call in, I think Angela's got the phone number that.
Yeah.
And they have to determine first, is it on a consumed power side of the circuit or on the DTE part of the circuit? They call them in to get them fixed. Because both of these burned out about a year ago. But that's, if you notice it
all
out,
this dirt.
if
That light is-
you notice it out, you're doing us a favor if you call in the daytime, because a lot of times, I don't notice when they're out, unless I
Right,
happen to
right.
be driving by it at the
Yeah.
time it would normally be.
And then you don't notice that there was a light there.
Well, or I forget it by the time I get home.
Well, it's so dark, and that's where I turn, and I do know.
Yeah, yeah, but that's it, there's a contact person that she has for both DTE and Consumers Power, depending where the light is.
Alright,
And then
yeah.
we've got some records that show if it's one of ours that we pay for, I think there's about 15 of them or something. And if there's about a half a dozen, I think, that belong to somebody else that wanted a light by their place. Okay, anything else? If there's nothing else, then the motion to adjourn and reconvene for the fire department would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn and reconvene for the fire department meeting.
Is there a second?
Yes, there is.
Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Kevin, the meeting's adjourned and reconvened and a short meeting.
Okay, thank you. We had 96 calls for the month of May, which was up from 75 for last year.
Yeah, that's a pretty big increase.
Yep, we're at 424 calls right as of May 31st. I think that was a 28% increase from last year, by the way.
And no idea what it is.
Nope. We're currently at 42 calls up till today, so we're on track for 120 calls for this month. We had our EMS
It's
inspect.
not that the parks are open?
No, actually, I don't think we've even been to the park yet.
We don't get very many calls for the park all year, really.
No. We get
10 or
each
12?
park maybe 5 to 10, I mean, it's not very many. We had our state inspection this year, and we did pass. We had a couple of small issues that we're correcting, but she did pass us. One issue is I need that insurance paperwork signed off so we can send that in. And they want that tomorrow if I can. Other than that, they went through the truck. It's all virtual now. It's cumbersome, I would have to say. And they go through a lot of paperwork. We had an issue on Paul's VFIS saying that he did the driver's training. We finally got a copy of that to her, but that was, it's all those little minor details that keep hanging up things. We had a minor fire at Station 2 on,
Rainy day?
I
remember.
Candidates Day.
I think it was Friday.
Oh.
We're pretty sure, in my mind anyway, we were out burning weeds for the open house, and
It was our fault.
yeah, and this was like at right at 7 p.m. we were doing it, and we didn't have any issues. He even wet it down the area where he burned them near the building, but around 10 o'clock, a lot of smoke in the back bays. It ended up being the vertical section between the Bearcat and the Brush One truck. The smoke alarms went off. Stacy did a public service announcement why you should have smoke alarms. Bays were full of water, full of smoke, and they put out with a garden hose, and then they came over with the engine and put the rest out. We opened it up. I opened it up today, and it's just 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 2x6s. And there's 4 in a box beam, and then the beam next to it, and then a fascia one. And Two
You
sheets
put
of
one of the
OSB.
long windows like I have in my garage in there.
Yeah. Two sheets of OSB, 2 sheets of T111, and some a little electrical wire in the low voltage wire. So we're not even gonna put a claim in it, we're just gonna fix it ourselves. I ordered the wood today, they said it should be there tomorrow. The open house, I think, was a good success. We estimated we had about 125 visitors. Back to the community thing, the kids loved having the hose out there spraying water everywhere, so.
That was fun.
And then,
I wanted to try
her daughter made, I think it was $11 because she sprayed her brothers.
Oh, yes.
We bagged. So that was, everyone loved doing that. We had, E3 has an intermittent problem in it, it'll start up, but then sometimes it doesn't wanna shut off, so, the last time we tried to start it, the starter, wasn't working very well, so we put a new starter in, it's been working since then. So, it's just a backup truck, so it's not like it's,
My lawnmower's been doing that, and it's in the ignition key.
yes, well, that's what we're missing is the, like, it hasn't happened for me, so I've asked people that, when you shut it off, does the light go off on the switch? Oh, I don't know, so, that's a key.
Or if you pull it back a hair, does it go off?
Yeah, there's a key
Contact
indicator.
still.
We did put some shut-offs in there so we can kill the fuel to it and shut it down, but I'm just giving you a heads up on that. June 21st, they're shutting down I-75 north for at least the weekend, and then they're gonna do it 2 more times before November. So we just found this out today.
Is that the one I sent to you today?
We were in a meeting and that's when they told us. So I
That's
didn't know.
Friday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, starting Friday.
Did
So,
it say what time it's starting?
no, but expect a lot of traffic on Dixie Highway, obviously, and a lot more than we're getting now.
The shutdowns at Dixie.
Well, I'm assuming they will do it there, I mean,
So 2 more times between now and November.
that's
means
what,
the rest of us-
at least 2 more times, they said. So, we got to look forward to that. If you're familiar, we've been putting in for a lot of grants, and Teresa, by the way, Teresa,
They are one on this.
we did get that fire gear, so and we turned in the
Oh.
paperwork for payment, so we need to turn that into them, so we can get the reimbursement on that. We also went to the DNR, and the compressor at Station 2 was getting old and it wasn't building up enough pressure, so we said, hey, let's see if the DNR will give us a, compressor. So we've waited for over a year for that, for an answer. So I went and bought a 175 PSI one in Harbor Freight, just so we can pump the truck tires up over the 100 PSI. So I was like, yeah, we don't care if we get it. Well, they called us last week and said, oh, we got that compressor for you. I was like, okay, great. So, I got Captain Williams to call him. It's out here if you wanna see it today. It's not a regular compressor, it's a SCBA compressor, and this thing is on a big old trailer and it's for free. We
It
got
looks brand new.
Yeah.
It's only got 86 hours on it. And, so basically, it's like a portable, air pack, so we could fill air packs on the fire scene. If we had that for the Holly fire, man, that would've been perfect. Now, some trucks carry, air tanks for filling bottles on scene. We don't have any of those. Some of the other bigger departments have them, but this one's like, I'll go to the chief's meeting, like, you won't believe what I got. So it's.
Out of curiosity, why did they have it extra?
I don't know, it's, there's a tag on it, says it's $19,480, I think it was. I would've thought it'd been about 50 grand frankly, but it's got a diesel motor in it, and, so we're gonna check the oil. There's no oil, we couldn't see any oil, but we'll go through it. Now, it will cost us, for our air systems now, it costs us about $1,000 a year per system
To charge them.
to inspect them. But, and that's also usually some maintenance, so it depends on this one, but we'll have to get that certified for use with air, but shoot, and obviously we'll leave that open for mutual aid if anyone needs the air bottles filled on the scene, so that was a big score for us. And, same with your question to Bob about being available, I'll also be available, I'm gonna go on a sabbatical next February, but whoever takes my place, I'll be more than happy to answer questions, or as long as they don't ask me to have to find stuff, I'll be fine.
But they can't ask me either because Danielle files everything for me.
And, just like I've told Bob before, I said, when I left the Marine Corps, I thought they were gonna shut down too, but they didn't, so. So I'm sure we'll be fine, and, we'll always be available, and, I was telling, I think Kevin the other day, that if allowed, I might come back as a paid on-call guy, just, go on calls and things like that.
After a deep background inspection.
Again. That's, if there's any questions? Thanks for everybody that came to the, open house, I mean, we used to do it, similar thing when we had the fireworks, where we, get hot dogs and burgers and everybody come by, but since they canceled that, I was like, this would be a good way to do that too.
Good job, Chief.
Yeah, and we're on our 5th call today already, so, been a busy day. So if you wanna see the trailer out there, feel free.
Any public comment? Not? Motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody.
Kevin, what do you think? We had it to blow out